live? We live?
We live? What should our intro be like?
Just be like, welcome back to the podcast.
Just something simple, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the podcast, guys.
What's going on, guys? How you doing? Hope you're crushing life. Dude, I think that's kind of actually kind of fits in with the marketing stuff. People have to really go all out there, put themselves really out there, be people that are not, be more excited than they really are, do all these things for marketing, because it gets eyes, it gets attention. If you're different, I mean,
stands out.
If you do the same thing as everyone else, you're gonna get the same results as everyone else,
That was a bar.
But if you put yourself out there, go crazy, do things that are different and normal and or abnormal, then you're gonna get different
Catch
results.
attention and
Whether for good or for worse.
yeah.
You're gonna get worse results if you don't do what the normal people do, because you're not gonna get the normal results. If you don't do what things you're supposed to do, or the normal things, you just sit at home all day, you're gonna get different results. But if you do more than the normal people, then you're gonna get more results,
Yeah. I like that for the better or for the worse.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
So let me ask you this: when is it a good time to apply that principle, and when isn't? Because I can think of a couple of situations where it's a turnoff. Somebody's trying to recruit you. You're gonna make so much money, dude. It's crazy, bro. You're gonna kill it. Your personality is perfect for this. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In that kind of a scenario, I feel like the more raw is more attractive. It's kind of hard. Sometimes it sucks, but you can really do a good job.
100%.
If you want to come check it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when are good applications of it, and when should you steer away from it?
I think you don't want to overpromise. I think that's a lot of times people overpromise when you're recruiting or trying to get someone to do something.
Yeah.
I think when it's what would be the word? When you're not getting marketed to, but you're just talking about the results that your stuff. Say you're selling a program, for example, Grant Cardone or whatever, you're selling a course. Ty Lopez is a perfect example. He's not saying, do this, you'll make all this money. He's just showing what all the money's done for him. He's got the Lambos, he's got the, he's not saying, if you do this, then you'll have all this money. He's saying, look what one of my students did. Look what this student did. Look what this student did.
The potential, the possibilities.
Yeah, and then it's okay. But if you're just getting marketed at all the time, join my program. We'll teach you how to make this much money. Blah blah blah. That's a turn off,
Yeah. So
it's indirect marketing, I guess.
Okay.
Term, Makes
that
sense?
makes sense. Yeah. Because I don't know. I feel like sometimes it can be a good tool, and sometimes it's a little bit of a turn off.
In dating?
Do you know what I mean? Absolutely, dude. Dating's probably the biggest one.
You act all desperate.
Yeah, dude.
I promise, if you go out with me, dude.
I'll love you forever, I swear. I'll treat you the best. You'll never find anybody that treated you better. That's ooh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's funny how that
kind of similar to the door-to-door kind
But it's the more nonchalant, more detached you are, then the more it draws people in.
Well, it creates a high demand almost. It shows that your supply is low, kind of, and that your demand is high, and that if you're only able to share this portion of something with that person because they're busy, it's dang, there's something attractive about that demand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting, man.
In business and relationships, I feel in everything. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel when I see those YouTube ads that come on that are check out the pre-built Shopify stores, get yours today. Those kind of stuff. I just instantly skip those.
Instant.
I wait 3, 2, skip. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel people. It's always one-upping. Who can one-up the extremity, the level of out there. You know what I mean?
I feel it's changing. That used to be really popular. The Ty Lopez, he gained a lot of popularity because he was the first one to do it.
Yeah.
And then everyone jumps on it. Then when it's mainstream, then it kind of goes back to the same principle. Okay, now everyone's doing that. I've got to do something different to get a different result.
Interesting. Yeah.
Things just adapt so quickly. If you don't adapt, you die, man. You have to figure all that out.
Dude, it's funny that you say that because one time my mission president, in like a meeting that we were having, he said, those who can't adapt end up working for those who do.
Yeah. That's a bar.
Is that not a bar?
Yeah.
That's like a 45-pound freaking Olympic standard bar. Do you know what I mean?
That's true. You look at like, people, like some people don't like them, some people do. Like Barstool.
Okay.
Those guys know how to adapt. Like they pick up on trends so fast. They set trends. They like do all these things. They jump on like, I don't know, like anything. Like Tony Robbins, like he made a ton of his money doing like seminars and stuff like that. COVID hit, he immediately started doing like online Zooms. Like he like adapts so fast, and like people who don't do, they die. They're like, he didn't make an excuse. It's like, oh, because of this, I've got this. They don't ask the right questions of like, okay, this is a situation. What do I need to do to fix it?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of questions you ask yourself, dude. It's so easy. It's so easy to sit there and like make excuses or say, oh, this happened, therefore I can't do this. Or like Rich Dad Poor Dad, that book, it talks about it. It's like, oh, I can't afford it. But he's like, that's such a lazy way of thinking. The right way to think about it is to ask the question of, how can I afford it? Because then you can think of actions. Use actions to go and make money so you can actually go and do something about it.
Gotcha.
But it's so easy just to tell your brain, I can't do that.
Can't do that. And then instantly your brain will naturally start to justify why.
Yeah.
Now, if there's a valid reason or not, it doesn't really matter, because if they see somebody that's successful or somebody that's experiencing results or seeing good things happen and they're not, like instantly people are like, oh, it's because they had this handed to them, or it's because this happened, or it's because I had this setback that they didn't have. Now, some of those could be true, some of those could not be. They very well could have had a much harder circumstance but still made it happen. But your brain, like the brain is so protective against vulnerability and like self-reflection that it won't even go there, that it will just shut that down and be like, no, you had this happen, you're fine, stay in your lazy ways, and rationalize why that is okay, rather than, no, you messed up, or you're not, you could be performing better, whatever it might be. It's hard to internally look and say, I need to be doing this better, I am struggling here, now what are some action items? You have to get vulnerable to do that, and it sucks.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Dude, you deserve a fist bump for that, man. That's a bar. No,
you know
it's
what
so
I'm saying,
true. It's so hard to get us, not us, but like humankind, human species. Is that the right word? Species? Did you say species or species?
I don't know. Species?
Species. Anyways, the humankind to do that. We were talking about that yesterday, even, man. Like, if you. Yeah, it's just so difficult to like figure out what you're doing wrong. It's so easy to like, oh, I'm doing this right, I'm doing this right, I'm doing this right. But if you take the time to really sit down and evaluate what you're really doing, where you're really at, that's when you can make improvements. But it's so uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable. But I feel like the more that you do it, the more practice you get with it, the more natural it can become.
Right.
And like kind of like what we were talking about yesterday, like it's going to be uncomfortable at first, and that's okay. Let it be uncomfortable. Don't make a big deal about it. Like, yep, it's uncomfortable. Sweet.
Lean into it.
Yeah, lean into it. Don't fight. Like, the more that you fight against it, the more it's going to affirm to your brain that it's something to make you uncomfortable. But if you just allow it to be uncomfortable and be like, look, I need to work on this. I can be doing better than this. I can be performing like this. And then you take action items. Then you can implement small things consistently over time, and then you'll look back and like, you're going to have changed so much, and it's just going to have come from those small things that you've implemented.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, dude.
And then it's going to be easier to be like, look, I've done this before, I've reflected before, it's uncomfortable, and I'm going to change this, and I've done it before, and I'm going to do it again, and I know I can.
Yeah, you
build
that.
To the next.
Yeah, exactly. You build that momentum into the next.
Exactly.
And then another thing, dude, everything just. Actually, we did get some feedback from our last podcast. You say dude and bro and man too much.
Yeah.
So I need to work on that. I just caught myself saying like 6
Oh, actually?
But I lost my train of thought.
That's like a good example. Like think of how silly and small that is. Yeah. Okay, sweet. I'm going to limit this, and I'm going to just keep moving forward.
Exactly.
Like if you want to, you know.
Dude, I said it again. But that's another thing. I think a lot of times people are afraid to ask for like constructive feedback. They're like then like say, even sometimes people will ask for it, but like they don't really want it. You know, like what can I do better? And then like.
Dude, that's so true, bro.
But it's like if you really ask good questions, you know, if you really ask those questions, you really want answers, it shows that you're humble. When you're humble, you're able to learn and apply. Things like
with real intent, because just like you said, there's a lot of people that do it.
Do it to fish.
For yes, dude. Like as a facade, like I want people to think that I'm humble, so I'm going to ask them, you know, and they had no intent of actually implementing or anything like that. But if you actually do have real intent and implement things, I think it's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to make you better, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
100,000.
that was fun, man.
That was fun.
We went camping. Kind of spur of the moment. Man. Got out of the valley and went up the canyon and
off the beaten path.
I think there's something to be said of getting out into nature and getting away from like the hustle and bustle of life and
yeah. Absolutely.
Get in the mountains, man. I like the scriptures. I always talk about like revelatory experiences, like up in the mountains, because you're away from. Maybe like the principle is you have to be away from distractions to get like answers to your questions and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe like the mountains, like the symbolic place of like getting away from the city, so you can have that, you know.
Yeah. That was fun. I love like the spontaneity of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you were just like, dude, let's go camping tonight. Sweet, we went camping.
Let's go camp. Yeah, I think that's sometimes it's so easy to like get analysis paralysis.
Yes.
You just make an excuse. You're like, oh, you just overthink, and when there's so much thinking going on, you just don't take action about anything. It could be business. It could be
because you don't want to make a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you're not going to take action items until you know that you're going to do 100% perfect, which is not true. That's a fallacy. You're never going to do anything perfect. Yeah. So you just got to get started. Dude, Jordan Peterson said, in order to become a master of something, you have to risk looking like a fool, or something like that. Like you have to, in order to get started in something, you're going to look like a fool, and that's part of the process in anything, and that's all part of the process. Right. Is that kind of along like the lines of what you're saying?
Yeah. Is there any like things in your life that you've like seen yourself kind of scared, but you kind of leaned into it, looked like a fool for a little bit, and then you got better? Is there any? Dude,
that is a deep question. That's a good question. Think of an answer for that question too. Do you have one? If you have one, share it while I think.
I mean, I have a handful. I don't know. I think pigskin pouch is maybe one of them.
Okay.
For those who don't know, pigskin pouch is a business that we started a few months ago where we turn like old footballs into wallets. And I mean, we had to risk failing, but we also had to risk losing money. We had to risk like a few other things. I mean, that's not like anything crazy, no crazy amounts of money, anything like that. But there's a risk there, and we thought about it, talked about it for a couple of weeks, and then one day we're like, dude, we can do it. Let's start it. And so we did. And I mean, it's not like it's been crazy successful or anything like that, but we've learned a lot, and some things have come up that we've kind of spent some time away from it, but I think if we get back into it, we can start being more successful. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe we try something, doesn't work, and we can try something else, and we can live with the fact that we failed and we learned a few things. We can reflect back on it. Exactly. Okay, what did we learn? Maybe the next time if we start something, this is what we need to do better.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's not time wasted.
No.
Definitely not time wasted. Lessons learned.
You can either lose or you learn. I don't think there's
100%. You write that down, will you?
Stole that from somewhere. I don't know where. But.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I feel like it can definitely. I just lost my train of thought.
It's not good.
I had something good. Because we were talking about most businesses fail.
Yeah.
Most businesses fail, and in order to find like the successful business that becomes yours, you have to start a lot of different ones, figure a lot of things out, and you fail your way to success.
Yeah.
You don't just find a good idea, figure it out perfectly, and then it becomes successful. That's analysis paralysis, and that's going to get in the way of everything like we've been talking about. But if you find an idea, give it a shot. You don't know anything about it, jump in. Talk to people that know about it. put stuff out there, let it make you look like a fool, learn things, adapt, grow. If it ends up failing, sweet, you learned a lot, and then now you can apply those lessons into the next.
Yeah.
And if that one fails, you learn even more and apply it into the next. And then you just keep snowballing all these lessons until you hit that gold mine.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you won't even hit a gold mine. Sometimes you just have to stay clocked into the 9 to 5, dude. $12 an hour, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at least you're learning, right?
Oh, for sure. I think an example did come to my mind that might be a little bit more applicable. It was I started working with this real estate company part time back in like October or something like that. And one of my jobs was going to be cold calling people, like homeowners, to see if they had some interest in selling their house. And
you learned a lot doing that, huh?
Yeah, I learned a ton. But this, like, the first day ever that I started, I met up there to get some training, and it was gonna be like 3 hours of sitting down, like figuring out what to say, like how to overcome objections, and like how to dig a little bit deeper and stuff like that. And like the first, like I said, it was like a 3 hour meeting or whatever, training, and we had no intentions of actually doing any cold calls that day. I was just gonna sit there and watch the guy training me do it.
Yeah.
But like an hour into it, like we went over the script for like probably 15, 20 minutes, and then I asked him questions, stuff like that. And he started calling it, and then he like tried to train me. I'm like, hey, can I just like start some calls? You know?
Do you say that?
Yeah. It's like, can I just try it? He's like, do you want to? I'm like, yeah. That's how I'm gonna learn, you know. And I think that's like, dude, my first calls were terrible. They were so bad. But I learned, it was exponentially learned by just calling and I learned way more calling than actually listening to him call for 2 hours.
Absolutely.
Because you have to train your brain to think. You have to apply it. You have to pull what you're learning from those like 20-minute trainings, and then you just do it, and then you learn a lot quicker. So
exactly.
Just kind of lean into it, be uncomfortable, look like a fool, but that's okay because I learned a lot quicker. Yeah,
absolutely. It kind of reminds me of, again, what we were talking about yesterday with like, you know, like the principle of faith without works is dead. Like action items, knowledge learned without execution is dead. That's exhibit A of that right there. Like, you can learn all day what to say, what the script looks like, everything. Like, you can have all that knowledge, but unless you get on the phone and start talking to homeowners or making dials or whatever it is, setting appointments, then that knowledge is going to be useless.
Yep.
Unless you're actually learning. You don't actually learn that knowledge because you can have the knowledge, but you don't like learn it until you start applying it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
makes so much sense.
So it's like along those same lines.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I do. Did any experience come to your mind? Good deflection.
Dude, I think a good example is like back in high school, like I was very out of shape, I was very overweight, and I knew just a couple of things. Like, I knew one thing, I didn't like where I was at, and I knew that I've seen people make changes before, and so I just thought it was possible. That's like literally all I knew.
Really?
So I just showed up, started doing random stuff, worst things in the world, like, but I was just there, and I was just learning.
At the gym?
Yeah, just showing up at the gym. Learned a lot from, started talking to a couple people, had a couple friends, and then that's when I started playing football, and just kind of like started learning more and more and more. And then that's when I decided, I was like, well, you know what, if I want to cut weight, I'm just going to start counting my calories. And then started seeing success from that. And then just started learning better ways of training, kind of like all that kind of stuff. And I mean, still definitely far from an expert by all means, but I started from an absolute fool and completely out of shape and like very overweight to like, dropping, a ton of weight and, getting a lot more. I went from like about like 260, 265 or somewhere in there down to at my lowest I was like 178.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's cool. I think that's what, dude, things are simple. Life is really simple. It's easy to like complicate everything like that. Like, if you want to lose weight, you burn more calories than you take in. You know? It's like that simple. Yeah. But we make it all.
We complicate it, dude.
We 100% complicate it. You have to, or like, whatever, if you want to be more financially stable, you have to save more money than you spend, invest more money than you spend. Like,
literally the same exact principle, just cater to a different aspect of life.
It's so simple, but in our weird minds that have, we just distort everything and make it hard and make excuses and ask ourselves the wrong questions and we tell ourselves the wrong thing and it's crazy. You wanna go grab that light real quick? I think it turned off. But yeah, I don't know. Kind of interesting. Anything crazy happened this week? Since the last time we talked on the podcast?
Yeah, I went on a ride along with firefighters I was telling you about.
Yeah.
Saw some crazy things. That was a really neat experience. That actually really opened my perspective a lot because we had, I already told you the story, but like a little, back information. We picked up this guy that was having a heart attack and took him to the hospital.
You went right along with an ambulance, right?
Yeah, so we were in the ambulance with the firefighters, and there was a fire engine in the ambulance that would respond to the call, and I was on the ambulance with one of my buddies that I was doing the ride along with, and so we both show up with this call. I'm just like chilling in the back. I don't want to get in the way of anything, but I'm happy to help any way that I can. This guy's literally having a heart attack. We load him up in the ambulance. I'm sitting back there. It's the main paramedic, my buddy, who's an advanced EMT, and then me. They're going to town on this guy, administering drugs, checking vitals, like doing anything they can, getting ready to do CPR because he was literally on the verge of dying.
Having a heart attack, right?
He was having a heart attack. He was in the middle of a heart attack, and they were running low on hands, and so the paramedic was just starting to assign me to do things. Like, I'd put this thing around the guy's arm, and like I'm literally like holding this guy's arm who's dying, and I'm like wrapping stuff around him. And this dude is like suffering. He's like groaning in pain, and he's like literally dying.
Yeah.
And lights and sirens are on. We're speeding to the hospital, dude. And yeah, he was just putting us to work, dude. It was insane.
He was untrained. I've never done anything like that.
It was just, dude. It was such the adrenaline was amazing. Like that sense of urgency. Like this is life and death. This isn't a T-Mobile bill or car insurance. This isn't inflation or anything like that. This is like life and death, and we're like experiencing it with this man, and it was insane, dude. It was very eye-opening, and it brought a lot of perspective and a lot of gratitude. And also like a lot of kind of gratitude for the firefighters, like for what they do and everything. But it was we get him to the hospital, and I'm like, okay, I'll probably just chill in the ambulance. I don't want to get in the way of anything. But they were like, no, we need you to carry this. Come on, and we're like rushing this dude in, and we get him up to the I can't remember the cath lab where they treat like heart attacks or whatever. And they start going to town on him. The doctors are like putting this wire through his artery all the way to his heart. They're doing their thing, and then all the monitors just stopped. Like, and there was like that high pitch. The dude literally died in front of us.
Flatline or died or
yeah, he died in front of us. They shock him. They're doing everything they can. He comes back to life, and then they're able to stabilize him. And it was insane just to like be a part of that, to watch it, to experience it, and to help out. Like that was just eye-opening, and it kind of like was a really good time for me to realize like there's a lot more important things in life than like the numbers and the commas in your bank account and the flashy stuff, whatever it is, the cool
followers you have on Instagram,
like all that stuff, dude. When we were in this ambulance, sirens blazing, speeding the hospital, all that was out the window. It was life and death.
This is what mattered.
It wasn't. Wait, hold on. Wait, do you want to hold still for a second? Let's get this up here. Hey guys, check it. You know what I mean? Like there's, like it was all that out the window. It was just respond and like react. It was incredible. It was
that's
a
awesome.
experience, and he survived. And later, like a few hours later, when we were back at the fire station, they called back in to tell us that he was stabilized in the ICU and that he was gonna make it, and that was like.
That brings some fulfillment. Like,
that was
like hearing that,
so much fulfillment. That was like, and I didn't even do anything. I just plugged a couple things in, but these paramedics and my buddy like literally saved the life,
Yeah, that's crazy. What a cool experience though too.
Yeah, it was really
I think a lot of times people complain about like they're not like they'll hear these things like how do these people have these experiences like oh I don't have any like nothing cool ever happens to me blah blah blah, but I think it's like you have those experiences when you put yourself out there and you do things that aren't normal, you know.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna have experiences sitting in your bed watching Netflix all day.
Exactly, dude.
But when you go out
Exactly.
and hike in the mountains and see a mountain lion, or you go out and ride along with an ambulance for a day, or you go out and you go skydiving, you go all do these different things, you're gonna have cool things happen.
Yes.
And you're gonna learn a lot. And I don't know. I just think it's cool that you just put yourself out there. You probably just what was the thought process? You was like, I want to go ride along with an ambulance. Like how did that come about?
My buddy.
Is that something that someone like anyone can do or what?
Yeah, anybody's open to it. In fact, there's a couple guys there that are just volunteer firefighters that are there 1 day a week. They don't even get paid at all. They don't. They just do it for they have their own careers. They're successful business owners, whatever. But they and one guy in particular just showed up once a week because he wanted to be a part of his community. You know, like he just serve in his community just to be a part of it, just to have the camaraderie. It was actually way cool. The camaraderie they had, like these guys are like they call it family time when they're back at the station.
Yeah.
Like they would, just cook some dinner, throw movies on, and it was just cool. Like, but these guys are ready to receive 911 alerts and get out and get to work. You know, anytime that they're on call. Yeah, but it was anybody can do it. It was really cool. I never I kind of went into it I'll just because my buddy's been inviting me to do it for a while. And I was like, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Whatever, because of just whatever. But I'm actually super glad that I did it, and I want to do it again.
Yeah.
Because it was way cool. But
I wish the media and the news and everything like that highlighted more the good things that happen in the world, like the good people who go out and save lives instead of this scandal that happened or this drama that's happened that has no correlation to anything. It's just it gets clicks and likes and stuff like that.
it's called that fear grasp.
Yeah.
You know, that negative news.
Fear grasp, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just for some reason our brains are wired to be intrigued on negativity and fear.
Isn't that so interesting?
Which is sad, but yeah.
It's way more. If you were running, you're gonna run a lot faster if you're running away from something negative, like something like a bear chasing you. You're gonna run a lot faster than if you're running to something positive.
Or something?
Yeah, exactly. It's just so interesting. Like that negative energy it's very contagious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In people. I mean, we've talked about this before, but in people especially, right?
It ties back to what we were talking about earlier. People don't go back and reflect on what they need to work on because it's scary. They run away from it. They don't. It's not human nature to run towards stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's hard and it's difficult, but if you do, that's when you get the reward. Not saying you should go run towards a bear if a bear's chasing you because you're gonna get the rewards, but.
No, but that brings up a good point. That brings up a really cool point because there are people, when crap hits the fan, and heaven forbid, there's some kind of attack or something like that. There are a few people that, when everybody's running away from it, they're running towards it, to respond to it.
Right.
Which is way cool.
Firefighters in 9/11 or the
9/11.
Firefighters all the
Soldiers,
time running into,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah. That's real courage, man.
And that's a whole different flip on that psychology that we're talking. Instead of running away from something negative towards something positive, they're running from the positives to the negative.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
Very interesting, man. There it is again. Man, dude,
bro. I know I've said it 14 times already.
Hey, at least we bring it from our subconscious to our conscious, and when it's your conscious, you can actually work on it.
Yeah, we're all right. What about you? Anything interesting this week? Anything out of the ordinary? Let me ask you this. Let me get more specific with the question. What is something in the last few days or last week that you've learned?
I've learned. I don't know if I've necessarily learned this, but I've just been grateful for it. It's just the good people in our life. Yeah. I feel we live together and we've done a lot of fun things together, but we've kind of attracted good, positive people in our lives, which I've been so grateful for.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to natural human instinct to kind of focus on the fear or the negative or whatever,
the
but
complaining.
but just like surrounding yourself with those good people who want to go out and do fun things, or they are willing to go take action, or doing all these things that we've talking about, and they're just good moral people who it's just like,
want to have fun.
It's just something that's been like on my mind lately. How grateful I am for that. So
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, like we were down in St. George last weekend. We were in Vegas the weekend before. Like we're doing these fun things, these fun people, learning so much, and like this is the time of life to do it. And it's just like it could be easy to make the excuse of, oh, I know I don't have a ton of money, I probably shouldn't do that, or maybe we're not being responsible going and doing like all these things, but I think it's worth it.
Oh, absolutely. I'd rather pay for the experience than for the image, you know?
Yeah. Better pay for the experiences now than the antidepressants later.
Yeah, dude.
I should have said that.
Hope we got some good insurance, you know? But, you know, you bring up a really good point, like...
or the drug rehab.
What is...
Or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Because, let me ask you this. What is freedom? Right? Because I feel like a lot of people view freedom as being able to drive what they want, you know, look as cool as they can, like all that kind of stuff seems freeing, when in reality it's strapping you down to payments, debt.
Yeah.
It's literally inhibiting you. Now can make less life decisions because of these responsibilities that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like if you're being more responsible and you don't have as many debts, or you have, you know, limited spending, all that kind of stuff, you might not look as glamorous on the outside, but you're a lot more free. You can get up and go anywhere. You can travel a lot more. You have a lot more flexibility. You're not tied down. You don't have to show up to work a 10-hour shift because you have to make this payment.
Yeah.
You know, like you have a lot more flexibility. So I guess what are your...
Yeah, I always thought freedom to me is just doing what you want, when you want, with who you want, you know?
Yeah.
And like that... As I've done like some stuff, I went to the Tony Robbins event a couple months ago. It's called like Unleash the Power Within, and he asked a lot of those good questions and like reflective questions that make you really figure out like what's like important or what you care about. And one of them was like, what motivates you, or why? I can't remember the exact question, but I wrote down a list of like the things that are most important to me, and like freedom was the number one thing.
Really?
Yeah, like
that's awesome.
More than anything else, like freedom is something for me that's very important.
Yeah.
And so when if I'm at a job that I don't have that freedom, I just am not happy.
Absolutely.
If I'm with people that restrict me or
want to exercise authority over you.
Yeah, it's either like I'm gone, I'm done. I can't do it. You know? Yeah. So I don't even remember the question asked now, but
no, you answered. I asked, you know, how do you define freedom?
Oh yeah. And what yeah, so how it is like doing what you want when you want.
Doing what you want when you want. I think that right there, as you know, little as it may look, there's something so powerful about being a good steward of your resources, like being able to pack light, travel light, and you own very little, but you have a lot more freedom. You have and I agree. Maybe let me ask you this, because I agree with you. Freedom is one of the most important things to me too, and I think we really resonate on that together. But when did you realize that? Because that's not common, especially in today's age, especially in our age group. You know what I mean? So when did you realize that freedom was the most important thing to you?
Like, brought to my conscious mind just there a couple months ago, and I was like writing that all out. But then I look back, and it's always been like a very motivating factor in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like my parents weren't restricting at all; they were always very trusting. But like a lot of times, I see people like when parents are very like they're helicopters and they restrict you from doing certain things, they rebel because they need that freedom. Like I think it's like even like a human.
It's a
need to have that, you know? Like if there was any type of you can't do this, and it's like I want to do it now, or it's like I look back like all these experiences in my life, or like looked at jobs where I had to be here after here, I hated it, dude. Or you can't take this day off. I'm like, well, yeah, I'll leave it because it's just not. Like, I looked at these experiences, but like it was brought consciously like here a few months ago, I think.
So it's something that you've always manifested, but you've only become more conscious of it in the recent time.
Yeah, it's a good clarifying question. You're good at that. You're good at that.
And I do agree with you because there's something about like, dude, I agree. I'm the worst with like, people setting my own limits. People trying to, like in school, I was the worst in school.
Righteous demeaning.
Yeah, dude. No, literally, like it's a joke, but yeah, in a way, like I always hated school. Like I was a good student, like a decent student, but I hated school. I hated having to show up for somebody, and it's like for me especially because it's so. You could have one teacher for biology and I could have a different teacher for biology and we could be doing homework together and do the same exact thing, but depending on our teachers and how they viewed us and liked us and graded or whatever and their bias, we could have totally different grades. You know what I mean? So it's just, it's like totally just subjective, is that the right word? Like where it's subject to the teacher's bias and all that. I think it's just not, it's not objective. Yes, it's not objective. And I hate being bound by that, by somebody's opinion of me, and it could be just, I don't know, like people trying to exercise power over me, kind of like what you're saying, is the absolute worst.
Yeah.
And I do not want to be there. I do not want to show up. I do not want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just limiting,
No, for sure. Let me ask you this:
Yeah.
What is like one of the more like core needs or core motivators for you? Like for me, it's kind of like freedom.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think another big one for me is like connection and like good relationships with people. Like that's really important to me. Like what, maybe besides those two, maybe I kind of took two of the main ones, probably for humans. But is there anything else that like is like a big motivator to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would, agree that those two are very important. But outside of those two, I think some form of purpose or passion, like and I'm not even gonna lie, like that ride along really like sparked something. Like that was just like so fulfilling, so purposeful. It was like so, you know what I mean? Like it was, I don't know. Like I think back in history of all the crazy cool heroes or whatever that have done just amazing things. Like they were very purpose driven. They were very, you know what I mean? Like they knew, and there was always typically something negative that they were overcoming, or else there was no reason for a hero or no reason for a change. You know what I mean? And so I feel
Martin Luther King.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like those kind of guys, for example, or like the founding fathers overcoming, tyrannical government in order to establish religious freedom. Like there was no need for the forefathers if England wasn't what they were doing, right? But feeling some kind of purpose, some kind of passion. That's like a main motivator for me too. Probably really close to like freedom and connections. Because I agree. I really feel like connections is very important.
Yeah.
What about you?
You're kind of I'm jealous of you right now. You're in this cool spot. I don't like. You kind of tell people what you're up to right now. You kind of took a hiatus from your job.
Yeah.
Kind of a little mini retirement. Just kind of.
You're
just living your life, trying to figure out what your passion, your purpose is, right?
Yeah.
And how's that experience? How long have you done it? What's your experience been like?
It's been amazing. I mean, you obviously already know, but I was doing sales almost a year, like the last 10 months or so. And then recently, a couple weeks ago, left that job. It was a great experience, learned a lot, was able to save up a little bit, it was really good. And, it was actually your idea for, that really kind of sparked that and chatting with you that, maybe I should just kind of disconnect and really figure out what I want to do, and showing up somewhere and clocking in and clocking out is not it. You know what I mean? Like
for you, right?
For me, right? For me, and I feel like you're probably pretty similar, right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. But what's that been like? How long have you been away from that now?
It's been a couple weeks now. Yeah, I think it's been just over a couple weeks. It's been very freeing to kind of just reanalyze what's important to me, redefine what I'm actually living for, rather than show up, clock in, clock out 5 times a week, just have a weekend, just to go back to the clock in, clock out.
You're living for that paycheck, basically.
Yeah, I want to live beyond just that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this has been a really cool experience for me to kind of hone in on redefining what I value in work, and finding what I'm passionate in, that kind of stuff. So working on a couple different ideas right now, mortgage certification that I'm going to be starting, and all this. And what I love about this is it allows freedom. You can do it on the side. Most people that do it as a side hustle. You can turn it into something full time if you want to. But I just want to do stuff. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kind of?
No, 100%.
And that was actually, I can't take credit for that. That was your idea. And that was.
I don't know about that. We kind of bounce ideas off each other all the time, but I think you said the word unplug. I think a lot of times, you look at electronics, when they're not working, what do? You unplug them for a little bit, press restart, and they go right back to normal.
Yeah, dude.
I think that's an important thing to do. If you're just in hustle and bustle, and then you're like, I need to get a new job, I don't like the one I'm at, and you jump to a new job, you have to figure out the core reasons of why you don't like something.
Yes.
And I think you have to unplug, take a few weeks away, maybe a few months away from it, figure out what really is going to motivate you and what is going to give you purpose, and then you're going to be able to maybe find a little bit better job that's going to fit you for a longer term. So I think that's why you're doing that.
Well, thank you, and thanks for the idea.
I'm not looking for I'm not fishing for you.
No, I know you're not at all. I know, but I can't take credit for something that's not mine. The idea started with you, and I was the one that made the decision. But
you put in the work, man. You worked your butt off for those 10 months to get to the place where you're financially able to do this. A lot of times, maybe people might not. They just kind of do just enough to get by into the next month, and then don't have the freedom to do that. But
not even gonna lie,
be able to do that.
Because we started talking about that idea probably a couple months ago.
Yeah.
But
keep going.
Just the thought of that was so motivating at work. It made me want to sell more. It made me want to get more, appointments set, and it made me really take my pitches more serious, because I was like, I actually had a reason to. I wasn't just enduring through the day to, just to sell. I was like, no, I'm gonna sell so that I can kind of detach for a little bit,
Yeah. So you worked harder.
Yeah, and it's been so nice just to do bring it back to what's important to me, spending time in the gym, spending time, on my own, just meditating a little bit, doing my own thing. It's been so good just to recalibrate, you know what I mean? So
dude, you have to, everything. Dude, you remember those smart boards back in elementary school?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. the buttons that you press.
You have to recalibrate.
Projector. Yeah.
Do you remember the teachers recap?
Yes.
Because they'd write, and then when the marker right here, it'd start writing over here.
Yeah.
And you press the button, and then click at the corners of the screen, and recalibrate. Sometimes that happens in our life. We just kind of get uncalibrated, and I think it's cool. You use that word because you have to hone it back in and course correct, or some people might call it repent, or some people might. You have to do these small adjustments along the way, and if you don't, you're gonna find yourself 10 years down the road where a lot further than where you want to be.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to put your back against the wall, and then
make it happen.
That's when the allows to move forward. So. Good stuff, man.
You got those good analogies, huh?
I don't know about that, but that's good stuff, man. Well, should we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Good podcast number 2.
Number 2. Let's go.
Crushing it. Okay. Peace out.
Ciao.